Almost every town or city has a very specific past that has made it the place it is today. Perhaps there has been a certain person or group of people who donated a lot of time and effort into the town. Maybe these people have been role models to the citizens of the town. Either way, they have helped the town itself and are very important to it. For the town of Beverly, it was the Cabot family who made such a difference. This particular family helped Beverly all throughout the American Revolution with guidance in politics, economics, privateers in the war, and much more. Beverly would never be what it is today without them. Beverly was a very well-known town of Massachusetts during the 1700s and throughout the Revolutionary War. Both the Cabot family and the John Cabot House were of great importance and had a very positive effect on the town of Beverly and its citizens during this time. Beverly, Massachusetts, home of both John and George Cabot, was originally part of Salem. Then, in 1626, the town was settled and named Beverly after Beverly of Yorkshire, England. This famous town was the birthplace of the American Navy, thus making it very important during the French and Indian War, along with all the battles leading up to the American Revolution. Beverly is also commonly known as the birthplace of the American Revolution. It was a very busy place for artisans and merchants, and was home to America's largest and oldest cotton mill. Cotton was a very important resource during this time period, and was used by most people. Beverly was a small but well-known town from the time it was developed, and still is today. The Cabot family was one of the most well-known families throughout Beverly in the 1700s and 1800s. The family originally lived in Salem and then moved to Beverly. There was a total of 9 children in the Cabot family, the most popular being the 4 oldest brothers, John, George, Joseph, and Samuel. All the boys in the family were sent to Harvard for schooling. The entire family was very much involved in politics, commerce, and banking. The 3 brothers, John, George, and Joseph, were mostly merchants and ship owners. With these professions, they were able to stay very wealthy. Their jobs allowed them to maintain a continuous income by keeping their businesses stable throughout the Revolutionary War. For example, they would often sell their privateer ships to soldiers during the war. John Cabot, perhaps the most famous and wealthy of the family, had the John Cabot House built in 1781. He lived in this house from 1781 to 1802. This was the very first brick building to be built in Beverly. This house later became the first bank of Beverly. The house was turned into the bank in 1802. This bank was the first bank in the town. The Cabots were very wealthy, therefore the bank was able to open. This was so important for the people who lived in this town because they needed loans during the economic depression. They also needed funds for building things such as cotton mills and bridges. This bank was used a lot by merchants during the Revolutionary time period. This bank led to the Cabots becoming even more wealthier than they were before. The Cabots also gained a lot of money through building and selling privateer ships. This business allowed them to make money while most businesses were suffering because of the Revolutionary War. The 13 colonies had a small amount of ships to compromise the Continental Army. George Cabot left Harvard at a young age to become a cabin boy on a shipping vessel because he wanted to gain more experience with shipping. This seemed to be the right choice for him because he ended up making thousands on the ships that he made. One of the ships that the Cabots built was sent along to Rhode Island to save George Washington's army, which was made up of mostly Essex County men. Though the Cabots sold many ships during this time, they wouldn't sell some to the locals, and especially not women. Their ships were sold for Atlantic trade as well. Samuel Cabot finally saw the opportunities in shipping after the War of 1812 and soon made plenty of money to add to the Cabots' growing fortune. George Cabot was a lawyer, an East India trade merchant, and a banker. The Cabot brothers worked very closely with Moses Brown and Israel Thorndike. All of the men worked in partnership to build the cotton mill and the Essex Bridge, now known as the Veterans Memorial Bridge. The cotton mill was established in 1787. The bridge was built for the use of people who were traveling across the North River and Beverly Harbor from Salem to Beverly. Before the idea of the bridge, people would either have to travel on land around the bay or take a boat across the river. Both would be very time-consuming. These are just a few examples of how the Cabots and other families contributed to the town. Eventually, the Cabots moved their interests to the textile and chemical industries. The John Cabot House, now a symbol representing the hard work that was done for Beverly, is located at 117 Cabot Street and still stands strong, one of the most recognized brick buildings in the entire community of Beverly. This house is now the headquarters of the Beverly Historical Society. The Cabots were incredibly significant to the town and people of Beverly, and the Cabot House shows the history behind it.